Man, welcome to part two. This is a friend. I'm still reacting to videos on Candace Owens. Let's go, man. Let's keep going.
Stories. Haven't seen a trend like this in a long time where the person who gave us X, Elon Musk, gets completely ratioed. I mean, to the tune of 142,000 likes. Ian Carroll's gets like 230,000 likes. And what's really compelling about this particular ratio, aside from just the topic, is that Ian Carroll truly is just a person who started making videos on TikTok, investigating various things. And he built a network for himself. He just crossed 1 million followers on X, I guess, in a large part due to the fact that he ratioed X's founder, which is Elon Musk. So it's pretty amazing. So I'll tell you what happened. So Elon Musk, weird arc on the topic of Israel, meaning he was criticizing Israel, and it seemed like he got some magic phone call in the background. The next thing we knew, he had to visit Auschwitz. He had to show up in Israel, do a photo op with Bibi Netanyahu. It was just strange. All of it was very strange. And now he kind of once in a while tweets what most would consider, Ian Carroll would consider to be Israeli propaganda. And so he tweets this video. I'm going to just show you a brief clip of it because it's not relative to what Ian responded with, which was the ratio. Here's the video that Elon Musk tweeted.
What set of actions result in the greater good in Israel? I mean, obviously, you cannot have people who, if they want to slaughter everyone in Israel, you got to stop that. There's no way. Those people either need to be killed or incarcerated, or they will simply try to kill more Israelis. This is what it amounts to, obviously. And they want to kill Americans too, by the way. Generally, like Israel is referred to as the little Satan in America. We are the big Satan. That's what the Ayatollah calls us.
Okay, so you get the idea. He's basically doing there's a Hamas behind every single child rhetoric, and if we don't all get involved and send our money overseas to a foreign country, then they're coming for us next. Okay, we've heard it all 1,000 times before. So Ian Carroll tweets this back regarding the video. He writes, "For being so smart, you're exceptionally bad at understanding this one issue. Kind of weird." And his tone when he does his videos is always incredibly sarcastic. And he's basically saying what everyone thinks, which is what happened. You really have changed your perspectives very quickly. And you kind of are seeming to have to post these sorts of things. Like, blink if you need help, Elon Musk. So Elon Musk responds to him. And I think he was kind of giving him a layup here because he writes, "What am I missing?" And again, if you weigh this against Elon Musk's old tweets, I just don't think, I feels like he's intentionally missing something. And this is how Ian Carroll responds, which currently has literally 255,000 likes, something like 33,000 retweets. We'll get to that. He writes this to Elon Musk, and it just takes over to takes over X for 2 weeks. "You're missing," the lead up here, "that AIPAC purchased the seats of about 90% or more of our current Congress. JFK famously wanted them registered as a foreign agent right before he was shot, and thus they changed their name and never registered. Why are we letting a foreign lobby buy off our Congress? You're missing that Israel was obviously the state sponsor of Jeffrey Epstein, whose handler was Ehud Barak, ex-head of Israeli military intelligence. His funding was Les Wexner, one of the world's richest Zionist philanthropists, quote unquote, and he was accused by ex-Mossad agents of being Mossad, not to mention the Maxwell connection. They had blackmail on Clinton and many, many more. He who holds the blackmail holds the leash. Just ask J. Edgar Hoover. You're missing that Israel's the only nation who has a de facto sanctioned, yet actually secret and unsanctioned nuclear program, a program that they stole from the United States. Look into the Apollo affair, NUMEC, the Dimona nuclear facility. You're missing that Jews, Muslims, and Christians lived side by side in peace in Palestine before the Rothschilds purchased the country from Britain during World War I, to the Balfour Declaration, and began their colonial program. You're missing that the groups that founded Israel, Lehi, Irgun, and Haganah, were declared terrorist organizations by Israel itself because their tactics were so deplorable, bombing British and Palestinian civilians. Yet these three paramilitary groups rebranded to form the IDF, and their leadership became a leadership of Israel for the following 30 plus years. You're missing that Israel is a foreign nation halfway across the world that has no business receiving my tax dollars. Why are we sending them billions of dollars in our tax money while our country burns and is overrun by illegal immigration? We are told Israel is our quote unquote greatest ally, so why would they have had a massive spy network targeting U.S. government agencies leading up to September 11, 2001? See the Israeli art students, DEA reports, for copious evidence of Israeli surveillance all across the continental U.S. This is an official government report that cites hundreds of incidents of observed Israeli surveillance teams documented by the U.S. government agents all across the continental U.S. And we still have received zero answers as to why there were numerous fake Israeli moving companies positioned all across the eastern seaboard leading up to September 11, 2001. And we have multiple eyewitness reports as well as hard photographic evidence that they knew the attacks were coming at least a day before they did, and that they were positioned at a vantage point to photograph the attack up to a half hour before the first plane hit. Never got any answers, but you can read the official FBI reports about the incident. I've broken them down live on X before. That is just a small list of some of the best documented reasons why I, as an American, don't want Israel receiving any of my tax dollars. And I didn't even mention my obvious objections to the collective punishment, mass surveillance, forced starvation, bombing of refugee camps, brutal murdering of women and children that's been going on in Gaza and the West Bank for years, decades, which you can watch in graphic detail right here on X. And that's not to mention that somehow we let Congress pass laws outlawing anti-Semitic speech, despite our own First Amendment. And we have anti-boycott legislation in multiple states, despite the fact that it's perfectly legal to boycott American companies, just not Israeli ones. Every content creator knows the fastest way to get demonetized, banned, and slandered is to be critical of Israel. I figured you would have realized this too after what they did to you and tried to do to X just last year. Whoo! Burn! Like, wow. So that went, again, absolutely viral. Wait, Skylar, can you bring that back up so we can see the retweets that this received? I got 52,000 retweets. That is incredible. 255,000 likes, loves, whatever, and 7.8K comments and 7,800 comments, pardon. I did the video, and truly, like, I was just like standing up, just giving a round of applause, because so many of us, I think, have really woken up to that over the last 2 years.
Man, I'm just, wow. I didn't know all that happened, bro. I keep wondering the same thing, man. I keep sending money to billions of dollars to Israel. This guy would say this, and the United States would do it. My goodness gracious. Wow.
And it's been crazy to see. And everybody obviously knows that this is why my YouTube is demonetized. It's like, you have to take this perspective and support this country or else. And it seems crazy because many of us genuinely, like, from the bottom of our hearts, just weren't aware of any of this stuff. You know, we kind of went through this programming in school. And it's interesting because there is this philosopher, you may have seen him on Tucker, actually sat down with him, a Russian philosopher named Alexander Dugin, who Tucker sat down with because his daughter was murdered by Zelensky. And he's written books, The Fourth Political Theory, who did this thread the other week, or maybe it was actually last week, or maybe it was like a couple of days ago, where he spoke about, and he said specifically, the religion of the Holocaust has been broken. The religion of the Holocaust hasn't broken. Now, people who are not easily offended, and you really consider what it is that he's saying, and I understood what he meant, which is to say, I grew up so much in my heart feeling like it was my job, after having learned in school, as we all must go through, learning about World War II and the Holocaust, we're shown all these graphic images. It is such a required part of our learning environment. And then we have Hollywood, we have all of these movies, and we just feel this tremendous burden for something that we weren't alive for, and we go, oh my goodness. Like, if anybody says anything about Jewish people, I will just instantly react, you know? You feel so instantly protective because in many ways we were so traumatized to learn of these atrocities in the classroom. And I think that's what he's talking about when he says the religion of the Holocaust has been broken, because he went on to say that it was broken by Bibi Netanyahu and Zelensky. And finally, we have brought them down, he says, like the Jewish people down to where everyone else is, where we now recognize that there are evil, horrible, atrocious Jews, black people, white people. We recognize that. And I think prior to that, the religion of the Holocaust, meaning like how we learned about this in school, disallowed us to ever have that perspective about a Jewish person. And everything has now changed in the last, I would say, really since October 7th, because I've seen people that I respected, people that I came up in this movement with, say and do such despicable, horrific, dishonest things, all in the name of serving this foreign country, which is doing. I can see it on my ex. Okay, there's no article that can be written in any publication that is going to remove me from my own eyes the amount of death, and to justify it with the animosity and the hatred in their heart
Yeah,
towards
man.
Palestinian children. I can't unsee it, I can't unsee it. And so
Why though?
in many ways, I think breaking that spell and recognizing that we're all human, irrespective of whether we are.
That's true, man. It's crazy where you see a lot of people, I mean, dying, and people will not be concerned about it. The only thing they want is take them off of the map. I heard some people say that they should turn Gaza and Palestinian into a parking lot. It's just, my goodness, man. Those are people, whether or not they got bad people in there, uh, they're still people, man. We all should come together and recognize that, you know. So,
Jewish, whether we are Christian, whether we are white, whether we are black, whether we are Muslim, that there are tremendously good people. It was good for us to recognize and to see this evil, and for those who are interested to see this turning point. That it is a cultural turning point. Alexander Dugin was correct. There is a cultural turning point right now, and it's a bit also kind of reminds me of what my husband says all the time. He says wealth is ruined, like generational wealth. Wealth is ruined by the third generation. I guess it's an old saying, it's an old expression, maybe it's an old British expression, I don't know. But the idea is that it's the grandchildren that ruin it. And I think in many ways, when I see it now, the entitlement of the grandchildren or the great grandchildren, people that were in the Holocaust, and the nastiness of how they treat people, like, well, my grandfather lived through this, so now I can just smear you and libel you and lie about you and lie about your heart, is what has ruined it. It has ruined it. So yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I thought that was super fascinating to hear him just lay that out, for it to go so viral. So many more eyes will be opened because of that, recognizing that there was no community notes put on that. And he listed all of his sources as well. And if you're someone who truly grew up like me with that in your heart, and then being so confused by what appears to be people that you thought were victims that are acting and saying things that are so objectively evil, it will help guide you. I think it will really help guide you to recognize that, hey, we're just all human, and everybody sucks and is evil and awful and speaks like genocidal maniacs sometimes. And I think Bibi Netanyahu is genocidal maniac. But I can say that now because I'm already demonetized. Can't do it twice. All right, guys, I want to remind you about Pure Talk.